Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you might be joining from. I am HR Funk, and welcome to my Tricks and Treats live stream. Now, I thought about calling this the Not Too Spooky live stream, but I decided to go with Tricks and Treats instead, because there might be some tricks and maybe even a treat or two before we're all done this evening. As usual, this is a show that is driven entirely by all of you. There's no script, there's no predetermined plan of action or anything else. We're just going to have some fun and have a dialogue back and forth. And one of the things that I'm going to be doing is, again, having guests come on to the show. I really enjoy doing this. I've done this for the last two times that I've had a live stream. And the way it works, you can see the banner scrolling across the bottom of the screen here. If you send me an email, just send me an email, say, hey, HR Funk, I want to be on the show. And I will email you a link. And when you click on that, you can actually come onto the show and you'll have the option. You can either have your camera on, if you have a camera on your computer or tablet or phone or whatever, which means we'll do the split screen and you can be seen and we'll have a conversation back and forth. Or you can choose to have your camera off and then it'll just be audio and still we can have a conversation back and forth. Like I said, I've really been enjoying this. I've said for years now that you folks are really the best viewers on YouTube. And there are a lot of you that I've gotten to know over the years. You know, we talk on the phone. We've actually met in person, which is fantastic. And this is just a new way to go about that. You know, there are some of you that for the first time ever, I've been able to see you on the screen and actually be able to put a face with the screen name. And we've been able to talk back and forth, or at least I've been able to hear a voice, which has been fantastic. So if you want to be a guest on the show, please send me an email at hrfunk@zoominternet.net, and I will get you that link and you can come on. And looking over here at the screen on the side, we have got Joe Morgan, who was here early. Joe chimed in at about 20 till while I was just starting to set up. But he's here. Art Grote is here. Rich Powers, Camp David is here. Taticus Legion 78, thanks for joining. Keith Horry is here, says, because your channel is awesome and I'm glad I joined. What year did you start as a cop? Well, it all depends on where you draw the starting line. I started as a military policeman in the Marine Corps in 1985. I actually went to the Military Police Academy in August of 1985, graduating in November. And I started my first duty assignment as an MP was Cherry Point, which was November of 1989. I spent 4 years in the Marine Corps working as an MP. And then when I got out of the Marine Corps, I was hired by a small department here in Ohio. And that would have been 1989 when I got out of the Marine Corps. And I went to the Ohio State Highway Patrol's Academy, and they run a basic peace officer training academy along with training their troopers. I went through that, and then from 1989 until 2020, I worked as a police officer here in the state of Ohio. So, like I said, wherever you want to draw the starting line on that and the finishing line, and it's funny too because people will say, you know, how many years were you in law enforcement? Well, I usually put 30 plus if I'm writing it because, again, depending on which years you count and which years you don't and all that, it's somewhere around 35, 32, something like that. But it seems like a long time. And let's see, where else are we here? Steve Detweiler is here. Travis Chapin says, how are you doing? I'm doing well. I hope you're doing great, Travis. Command Center 10-8 is here. Sammy Boy is here. Peter Angles is here, says, just watch the videos and I just watch the videos and leave obnoxious comments. No, you don't. You leave great comments. Daywan is here. Glad you made it. Ken Tucker is here. James Wilkinson. And this just took a big jump. Grandpa Bob, glad you made it. Stepped in the door. You don't want my mug on your live chat. That's okay. Steve Detweiler says, working on my week's videos and listening. Good for you. Keith Horry, totally awesome. The world needs more men like... well, thank you, Keith. I appreciate that. Big Truck Brad is here from Texas Hill Country. Thanks for joining. Where is that exactly? When I was in the Marine Corps, our military police training was at Lackland Air Force Base, which was in San Antonio. So I lived in Texas for 3 months when I was going to the Military Police Academy. I don't know where Hill Country is, so give me some coordinates there because I'm curious. I have a little bit of an understanding of Texas from the San Antonio area. Obviously, I don't know the entire state all that well. Peter Angles, longer than I've been alive. Longer than a lot of people have been alive. St. Andrew, Buckeye Nation, thanks for joining. Dave says, just subscribe to the channel from Massachusetts. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate the sub. Anna Lane's domain is here, says, hi all. I just stumbled around and found it. Thanks for joining, ED. And this just took another big jump. Paul is here from Central Virginia. Tacticus Legion 78, been recovering from a bad stomach virus. Well, I'm sorry to hear about that. Seeing the Kansas City Chiefs winning ain't helping recover. Yeah, let me tell you about being a Browns fan. Those guys, the great thing about the Browns is they come up with new and creative ways to lose every week. Yeah, I never thought somebody could lose a football game like that, and they come up with a way to do it. So it at least gets them points for being creative. Josh Twyman had his first National Guard RSP drill this weekend. Dead from running, and I suck and hate running. You're going to do great, Josh. Just stick with it. You're going to do fine. Scott White, love your channel. Went to the Ravens-Browns game today. Are you a Ravens fan or a Browns fan? If you're a Ravens fan, I might have to delete you off of here. Just kidding, Scott. Just kidding. Big Truck Brad says north and west of San Antonio, west of Austin, west out to so okay, north and west of San Antonio. So I know where you're talking about, basically. Let's see. Peter Angles, Les Blue, Falcone, the MPs. You're losing me there. Not sure what you're saying. Daywan says, thank you for saving me some money, HR Funk. Good, I'm glad I did. And Sean Wells is here from windy Las Vegas. I didn't know it got windy in Las Vegas. That's a city I've never been to. I'm not a gambler, so I don't have that association with Las Vegas. But the SHOT Show is there every year, and I know they have some other big conventions out there. So maybe someday I'll make it out there. I know somebody that used to be a police officer in Las Vegas, and he talks about it quite favorably. So who knows? Maybe sooner or later I'll hop on a plane and make it out there and be able to take a look around and at least say I've been to Las Vegas. Scott White, Ravens fan, but feel your pain. Well, thank you, Scott. I appreciate the commiseration. Command Center 10-8, I know you're not all that crazy about Glock, but what are your thoughts on the Glock 41 in 45 ACP? The thing with Glocks is they work. They are simple. They are adequate for pretty much any type of defensive, almost can't say it, defensive shooting you might be engaging in. So although I'm not personally a fan of Glocks, I don't hate Glocks. I'm not a Glock hater. If that pistol works for you, more power to you. I hope it works well for you for a long time. Sean Wells, look me up. Okay. Let's see. Travis Chapin, a friend of mine was an MP in Vietnam with the 9th Division or 9th Marine Division. And back in those days, military police was, I can't think what it's called now. It was a temporary assignment or TAD duty. So, Marines would be, infantry Marines or whatever, some other MOS. And then they would be temporarily assigned to military police, and they would do that for a while. Then they would go back and do their regular job. Somewhere in the 1970s, the military police field was legitimized into its own military occupational specialty. So by the time I got into there in the 1980s, it was its own thing, if you will. That was, you went into the Marine Corps as military police and corrections specialist. You went to training, and then you went out and did that job. So that it changed somewhat between the Vietnam years and the years preceding that up until the time I did it. My understanding is that the military police field is being phased out, which makes me feel really old that my career field is going to be no more in the Marine Corps. Apparently, they are looking at I guess hiring DoD police or civilians to perform law enforcement operations on the Marine Corps bases. So they're going to do away with the military police field, or at least the part that I did. I can't imagine that they're not going to have corrections MPs or field MPs who are going to do I can't say it, enemy prisoner of war security, in time of war, or physical security on installations for deployed personnel, or convoy security, or those kind of things that the military police did. But I don't know. Like I said, it's strange to me to hear that the military police field is being phased out. Josh Twyman, my section in red phase, since it was our first, got smoked by a sergeant during Dean's. He wouldn't shut up and talk back. Yeah, there's always one guy. I remember the guy in my platoon in boot camp. There's always one guy that's looking around when you're supposed to be standing at attention, one guy that's talking when you're not supposed to be talking, that gets everybody else in trouble. It happened. Everybody has got one. So everybody who's been in the military feels your pain, Josh. Day one, you got your hands on an FN and said that it's not going to be on your channel. Now, you know what? Yes, I did. And if all of you missed that community post, I finally got my hands on an actual new FN high power, and had a chance to fondle it, to try it out. I didn't actually get to shoot it, and I was highly underwhelmed. It basically confirmed everything that I believed about that pistol from the get-go. And I said in my community post, it seems like FN took everything that everybody liked about the original P35 high power and then engineered it 180 degrees the opposite way. So what was a sleek, fast handling, very cool handgun is now a big, clunky, heavy behemoth of a handgun. And I really don't like it at all. Being a fan of the traditional P35 high power, I just don't like this thing. The only thing that you can say for it, or that I can say for it positively, is it holds more rounds of ammunition than the older pistol did. But it makes me wonder, too, what market FN is trying to go for with this pistol, because most military and law enforcement organizations these days are opting for something other than a single action only semi-automatic. So it's a single action only semi-auto that's big and heavy. I don't see a lot of, or I don't imagine a lot of military interest in that. I don't imagine a lot of law enforcement interest in that. I don't know who's going to buy the thing, but I did see one. I did handle it. I am not going to be buying one. If you saw the review that I did not too long ago on the Gersan MC35 Ops pistol, that is what the updated high power from FN should have been. And I keep thinking I should go back and buy that thing. I really liked it. I didn't buy it when I had the chance. I should call up Hot Munitions and see if they still have it and go back and buy that thing. Okay, let's see. Where are we here? I'm talking and missing a lot of what everybody is saying over here. Francisco Blanco says, hello from Miami. Hello to you. I too feel your football pain. A lot of us are in that same boat today, Francisco. Thanks for joining. Sammy Boy, what do you think about the Glock 45? Never handled one, so I can't really tell you anything, give you any kind of personal opinion of that. St. Andrews says, back in the early 80s, my brother and I would go to Cleveland at least twice a year to watch the Browns lose at the old Municipal Stadium. Yeah, I was in the old Municipal Stadium a couple of times, never all that much. I went to an Indians game or two there. Never went to a Browns game, never attended one of those until after they built a new stadium, which is probably good, because why go to the old stadium and watch them lose? Let's see. Elaine's Domain says, Was a Raider since '78, then ended with a take on it. Oh, okay. No NFL. Yeah, I get that. I understand. I quit watching for a while. The whole take a knee thing seems to have faded away. So I've been watching it, and I can't really say I'm an NFL fan, a Browns, or I mean a football fan. I'm just a Browns fan. I live and die every year with the Cleveland Browns, and that's really the only team I follow. My wife is the big sports fan. She can tell you all about all these players from other teams and what college they went to, and how they performed and all that kind of thing. I am just not a sports fan, but I do follow the Browns. Paul, aka Headhog, says enjoyed the CS9 versus G43 video. G43 is my EDC. Good, and I hope it works great for you for a long, long time. And it is a nice little pistol, even though I don't care for Glocks. I shot the thing well, and it functioned well. I can't really criticize it. Tactics Legion 78. That sounds like a really bad idea because you Marines are insane and violent. It's more violent to keep them in line when the drinking starts. Yeah, and I definitely dealt with my share of insane, violent, and drunk Marines. And that was just my friends when we were off duty. Dewan says always won. Yep. He was bragging his dad was a first sergeant, so he knew everything. Yeah. Doesn't know when to shut his mouth. Travis Chapin, another friend of mine, was in the Marines during the Beirut bombing. He was a sniper. I went to school with a kid who lost his big brother there. I joined the Marine Corps right after that. I knew some Marines who had been in during that time. Actually, my former chief of police in my police department where I used to work was in the Marine Corps during the Beirut bombing. What a horrific thing to go through, and for those who survived to have to deal with. But yeah, that was right before I went in. Josh Twyman, I knew it was coming. It was frustrating. Again, we all feel your pain. Everybody who's been in the military is reading your comments thinking, yep, we've all been there. Dewan, because of that, I will not buy one. I would say go and look at it. If you see one, handle it, see what you think of it. You might pick it up and think, wow, maybe this isn't all that bad after all, and you might really like it. But I just really didn't care for the thing. FN, at least to me, has been questionable quality control for the money they charge for the. Yet they are not cheap. If you get anything built by FN, you're paying a premium for it. Eric Sandstorm, who is a high power Hellcat 15 round mag, and you're good to go. Yeah, I know, but for the old classic high powers, they are just such great pistols. Yes, they only have a 13 round magazine capacity, although you can get 15 round magazines. But they're just extremely, extremely classic pistols. And if you have the chance to get one for a reasonable price, I would advise you to, at very least, take a look at it and see what you think. They want 700 a bit deep for a high power clone. It is. But when you look at the actual high powers these days, those things are going for 1,000, 1,200, 1,500, depending on exactly what kind of condition it's in and all that. So everything's relative. Mikey JR says the Chicago Bears suck here in Illinois. Illinois. I can't believe it. Illinois. Sorry about that. I feel your pain. Yeah, we'll all get together and have a drink together, Mikey. How's that sound? Big Truck Brad out west of San Angelo. Okay. And Rabbi is here. Rabbi, how you doing? I was worried about you because I haven't heard from you for a while. So I'm glad you're here. And he just kicked in a $5 donation. Thank you very much, Rabbi. And I'm glad to see you. I really am. I'm relieved. I was talking to ERJG 1954 yesterday, and we were both talking about how we hadn't heard from you for a while. And he was talking about calling you. I kind of hated to because I didn't want to bother you, but glad to see you're here. Glad you're doing well. So that's fantastic. I feel relieved. Marty Neff is here. This just took a big jump. Hold on a second. Let me find where I was. Richard Meissner, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Army MP from 79 to 81. Sad to hear there's no more MPs. Yeah, I don't know what the Army is doing. I know the Army years ago was going the route of the DoD police, so I'm not sure where they are currently. Marty Neff, hello to you. Francisco Blanco, watched your video about why you thought the Beretta M18, made famous by Yippee-ki-yay in the Die Hard, was dumped by the military. Was that your sidearm in the Marine Corps? No. When I was in the Marine Corps, we were still issued the 1911A1, and the M9 was officially adopted by the Marine Corps in 1985, but it filtered in very slowly. And I can remember seeing it went to deployable units first. So I can remember seeing Marines from Camp Lejeune, infantry officers and people like that were, wearing the M9, but I never had one. When I was in Iwakuni, Japan, my last duty station in the winter of 1989, we just started to get the M9s in right before I rotated back. In fact, the first time that I went to the pistol range, the last time I went to the pistol range when I was in Iwakuni to qualify, there were some MPs down to the very end of the firing line that had the M9s, but I wasn't one of them. Now, interestingly, when I got recalled for Operation Desert Storm, I was sent down to New River Air Station in North Carolina. And again, and this was 1991, issued a 1911A1. So New River still had not received the M9s all the way up to 1991. Now, I was reissued the 1911A1. I was happy. I had my old friend back, and I was not upset to have it. But it took a long time for the M9 to make it all the way through the Marine Corps. And I'm doing a lot of talking and missing a lot of comments. David Ochoa, love the content you're putting out. Thank you, David. I appreciate that. Justin says, do you have any recommendations for a full-size double action, single action 9mm gun, considering CZ75D Cocker? It depends on what you want to use it for. If you want something that you can conceal, I would say, some of the more compact CZs, the Beretta 92 compact would be a good option for a double action, single action. They're all going to be about the same size. They're not going to be tremendously small, but those would be some that you want to look at. Also, keep an eye out for some of the used firearms. If you come across a used third generation Smith & Wesson, take a look at that. You might find out or might decide that you really like one of those as well. Sammy Boy, what do you like for CCW? It all depends on where I'm going, how I'm dressing, what potential threat level I see at my destination. So I change things up all the time. Daewon, we seem to have similar taste in weapons. I'm leaning toward Buell 2011. Okay. And if you get one, let me know what you think of it. Josh Twyman, to me, a high power was one that they always wanted, but never thought that I'd buy. But it's one I wouldn't mind. Yeah, like I said, they are tremendous classic pistols. Vic from Fallout is here, all the way from the Czech Republic. It's got to be late over there. It's almost 7:30 here. What time is it there, Vic? 2 o'clock in the morning? 2:30? Something like that. It's got to be late or early, depending on how you look at it. Hot 8 says, in late, but I'm here. Glad you made it, Hot 8. Command Center 10-8, would love to find a Smith & Wesson Chief Special that you reviewed yesterday. Those really were great pistols, and I am so glad that I have that one. That's one of those that's never leaving my collection. I don't carry it all that much these days, but it's such a nice little pistol that I just can't bring myself to trade it or sell it or anything else. So I suspect there are a lot of Chief Special owners that are in that same boat. So it might be hard to find a used one. Rabbi says, I don't have to reach up and pick the daisies yet. Good. I'm glad to hear that, Rabbi. GGG Farms says, howdy y'all from Texas. Thanks for joining. Oh, by the way, I want to throw this out again. If anybody wants to join and actually be a guest on the show, follow the crawl across here. Shoot me an email at hrfunk@zoominternet.net. I'll get you a link and you can join in. We can actually have a conversation here. I really enjoy having the guests on the show. So if you have any interest at all whatsoever, feel free to shoot me that email and I'll get you a link. Not sure what you're talking about. Okay, so who else has a gun crush on the P226 X5? I saw one of those, and they're expensive enough that I don't think I have a crush on them. Chris Giampo's here. Thanks for joining, Chris. Mojave Desert 3381. What condition did you carry your 1911 on duty? It was always in condition 3. We had a full magazine with nothing in the chamber and a hammer down. So in order to put the pistol in action, we had to cycle around into the chamber, which I always thought was weird. Then again, we still managed to have an accidental discharge or two, usually into the clearing barrel back at PMO. So I guess I can understand why the command required us to do that, but it was still annoying that we had to carry him in that condition. Rabbi, the Marines from Camp Lejeune drinking their glowing water wasn't the worst thing they drank. Let me tell you a story sometime about something called soju. Francisco Blanco, sorry, M9, M18 is a SIG. I must have missed your comment back up there, so I apologize for that. If I miss your comment over here, please forgive me, because sometimes I just don't catch those on the way down because there are so many, and they're going up the screen. I'm trying to watch them, but if I miss your comment, I apologize. Rabbi, I priced out a full auto MP5, only 38,000. But hell, buy 2 or 3 of them. Really, the PTR semi-auto version that I reviewed a while back, I really liked. And shooting the thing, unless you just have your heart set on wanting a full auto, I really enjoyed that PTR. And semi-auto is fine for me. Chris 1911 is here, says I'm here but late. Thanks for joining, Chris. Vic from Fallout, it's funny with the speed of replacement of the M1911 to the M9, the Czech Army had the CZ52 and 762 Tokarev until 2013, and the CZ VZ82 and 9mm Mac is still in service. Yeah, military organizations are like that. If you look around hard enough in the U.S. military, I am certain there are still some World War II era 1911s out there in service. So that's just kind of the nature of military organizations. Daywan carries a Lionheart Regulus. Cool, good for you. Vic from Fallout, it's 1:25 there. I knew it was going to be late, so thanks for joining this late in the evening. 3 Jeep Discovery, do you have a pocket gun recommendation? My pocket gun of choice is my Smith & Wesson 342, which unfortunately is no longer made. Now they do make other scandium frame, alloy revolvers in the J-frame series. So, that's available to you, but I really like that 342. Chris Giampo, what's your next match rifle for Camp Perry going to be? I don't know. I'm pretty well set on my match rifle selection for Camp Perry. Between my M1, my M14, my AR that I shoot in service rifle matches. I've got a different AR that I shoot for modern military match. So I don't know. For competition use, I'm not sure that I need another one, at least not right at the moment. Which reminds me, we're up to our non-firing replica of the evening. And here it comes. This is one you guys have not seen for a while. This is a non-firing replica of an AR-15 that I built, actually, complete with the Duracoat finish in the camouflage pattern. And this pattern is great. This is one that really just disappears in any kind of foliage. So that's our non-firing replica of an AR-15 for the evening. Now I'm going to jump back over here to the comments. John Ladd says, hello, Mr. Funk from Ashland City, Tennessee. Thank you for joining. My home city or hometown is Ashland City, Ohio. So when I saw Ashland on there, thought for a second we might be whatever kin, which is amazing because the city of Ashland, Ohio, is located in Ashland County. And there's a long story behind this, but basically I'm related to about 2/3 of Ashland County. So when I saw that, I thought, hey, maybe this is a relative that's chiming in here. But no, not Ashland, Tennessee. Sammy Boy says, I'm really thinking about going back to a Smith & Wesson revolver, maybe a 357, but I really like the 43X. You know, that my Model 19 carry comp, after the initial bumps in the road where I had to send it back to the factory and all that, really is doing well. The more I shoot that thing, the more I like it. So that might be one that you want to take a look at if you're thinking about a Smith & Wesson revolver. Lane's Domain, can't find my Nixon mask. I'll do the call. Good. Please do shoot me an email, and I will get you a link so you can call in. Like I said, you can keep your camera turned off if you want to, and we'll just have the audio back and forth. But definitely get me an email. Jonathan Jackson, still waiting for the Glock to introduce a model that shoots 50 Action Express. I don't think you're going to see that anytime soon, unfortunately. Rabbi, well, I nearly broke down and purchased an SP5 last weekend. It's on the bucket list for me, but the price was $700 for MSRP, so not now. And I get that, believe me. I keep seeing these firearms. I'm like, yeah, I really, no, that's just too much. So I get what you're saying. I really do. Chris Giampo, love my baby Browning for pocket carry. There's a classic, cool little pistol. Rabbi Jackson Pollock paint that for you? Nope, I did that myself. Steve Detweiler, stop working on tomorrow's upload to see. Oh, thanks for sticking with us, Steve. I appreciate that. Tactics Legion 78. Keep thinking of buying a Glock 34 and getting a Boba Fett sigil. I'm not sure what a sigil is. Sprayed onto the grips. I'm assuming that's that symbol on that Boba Fett uses. So, yeah, that corny, geeky. Who cares? It's yours. And where are we here? Everything just took a big jump. Chris Ciampo likes the non-firing replica. Cool, thank you. Milkman is here from Kansas. Thanks for joining. Rabbi says, Sammy ain't wrong, was pricing a 10 millimeter and it was 50, 75 cents a round for Full Metal Jacket. Yeah. Does it seem like ammunition is going back up again? I went to a look, well, the same store where I saw the FN High Power the other day. I was looking at ammunition. It seems like it's either going back up or at very least has not come down. And I don't know. What's weird is 5.56 ammunition. That stuff is almost back to pre-COVID levels. But handgun ammunition, 9mm ammunition, 357, 10 millimeter, whatever, 45 ACP is still pretty doggone expensive. Jeff Tim is here. Didn't get the word. Sorry about that, Jeff. I put out a little, 1-minute video earlier this afternoon to let everybody know, and I'm sorry you didn't get that. James Wilkinson is here. Speaking of Tennessee, I saw a fellow yesterday that looked pretty close to what you look like. He was working security guard at a paper mill when I was picking up that wasn't me. Sorry. Yesterday, I was actually up in Cleveland yesterday. My wife and I went on a shopping trip, and we were running around up on the west side of Cleveland. John Ladd, that carry comp was beautiful. Looked into them, but they were scarce in my neck of the woods. Yeah, it seems like they're kind of sporadic in coming out, because I would see them, then I wouldn't see one for a long time, then I would see one. I finally saw this one back around the first of the year, and decided finally I was going to buy it. I'd been looking at them, and I kind of wanted one, so I'm just going to buy it, and that's it when I saw it that time. Lane's Domain, HR Funk. I do a show and tell on a nice Smith. Okay, well, that would be cool. Sammy Boy, yes, I want a 638 airweight. Is awesome. My best friend, who's actually still a chief of police in a nearby city, has a 638 that he's had for years, and what a great revolver that is. Yeah, he bought that early on in his law enforcement career, and I don't think he could pry it out of his hand at this point. It's just one of those that's a great little 5-shot J-frame. Rabbi, don't buy a Glock 34. He had a bad experience with his, apparently. And Sportsman's Guide is a good place for online ammo. I'll have to look at that. And it seems like the online ammo, at least when I see the sale emails come across and stuff like that, is a little bit less expensive. Jeff Tim bought 1,000 rounds of 380 Spear ball for $385. Okay, so that's not horribly outrageous. Steve Detweiler will ask Hinson, his boss, about ammo pricing. Is the pricing machine. Apparently he has the pricing machine. Josh Twyman been going back and forth about getting Glock 43X and a Shield Plus when I turn 21. I would say handle both of them. If you can possibly shoot them and see what you think of them, see which one you think is going to work best for you. Vic from Fallout, 32 ACP, Dash 7.65 Browning ammunition is now rare in the Czech Republic. Really? Kind of surprised by that. Rabbi is recommending the Shield Plus. Jonathan Jackson, Mr. Funk, if you had to switch your sidearm from the M9 to another choice, not the 1911, what would it be? If I had my choice of any handgun out there, it would probably be the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 and 9mm. That was my last duty pistol that I carried during my law enforcement career. And it's just a great shooting pistol, extremely reliable. Can't say enough good things about them. Rabbi plans to replace. Okay, apparently he's going to replace one with the Shield Plus. Okay. Josh Twyman likes the Shields. His dad taught him to shoot with a Shield. That makes me feel kind of old since they didn't come out until 2014. That seems like a fairly recent design to me. Milkman sold my Scorpion. Just couldn't fall in love with it. I've never shot one of those. I've seen them. I see a lot of banter about them, but I've never shot one. Paul, a.k.a. Headhog, just picked up a 4-inch Smith & Wesson 586 to replace one that is sold 35 years ago. This one's a keeper. It's hard not to love the L frames. I've got a 686 4-inch that I just absolutely love. I had a 6-inch once. Should have probably kept it, but I ended up trading it for something else. But that 4-inch is never going anywhere. It's just too good a handgun. it's got the best factory action that I've ever felt in my life. So I understand what you're saying about the L frames. Marty Neff, you had any experience with the Charter Arms? They have 5-shot, very similar to Smith & Wesson 637. I've never shot the 38 or 357 versions of the Charter Arms. I've shot the 44 special version. The thing that I noticed about that is the recoil was pretty snappy for a 44 special. Like I said, I don't know what that would be like with the 38s or the 357s, but definitely with the 44s, you knew you were shooting something when you capped one of those off. Steve Detweiler's been shooting a lot of 22 long rifle lately. I understand that, although it's gone up some in price too. It's not what it once was, at least in this neck of the woods. Josh Tywin used a 270 or 7mm mag ammo that your dad hunts with. Okay, and those are two really good options. Unfortunately, we can't use those here in Ohio for deer because it's a bottleneck cartridge, but those are two great cartridges. KD Cowboy, did I miss anything? Nothing too serious. We're just having a good time and hanging out and shooting the breeze, so feel free to jump right on in. Dewan, what are you sipping there, HR Funk? This is my Seagram's ginger ale. So I've got some ice over here, and I keep refilling my glass. I need to put some in there now, which is nice because it keeps my voice going. And I'm just going to jump down through some of these comments. John Ladd says, yes, ammo is still high. I'm in a scrap metal business, and the price of metal for non-ferrous, brass, copper, aluminum are at all-time high. Really? I didn't know that. Has that got something to do with inflation, or is that something else that's driving that? Travis Chapin, 30-06 for deer. You know what? 30-06 is just hard to beat for anything. It's just a great, great cartridge. For being, whatever we're now up to, 116 years old for the 30-06, and it's just a great, great cartridge. Virtually anything you want to do, maybe with the exception of, elephants or big bear or something like that, you can do with the 30-06. Marty Neff, my wife wants a Charter Arms 38 because it's blue. Well, hard to argue with that reasoning. Sammy Boy, what about the 9mm revolver? I'm not sure what you're asking. I've got a 9mm revolver. I've got a Smith Model 940 J frame, but like I said, I'm not sure what you're asking about it. Rabbi is asking, what is your caliber for deer rifle? My 44 Magnum Marlin Model 1894. It's one that I really like to use for deer. And I have shot a lot of deer with 44 Magnums, mostly from handguns. And as long as you place the bullet well, you don't do a lot of tracking. I really, really like the 44 Magnum cartridge. Chris Jampo, just curious, HR Funk, is the Barrett M82A1 50 caliber semi-auto used in any Camp Perry style matches? Not that I know of. I've never seen it up there for anything. Vic from Fallout, tomorrow I will send you an email with 2 links to videos made by Italian YouTuber about legal gun owners in the Czech Republic. Okay, I'd be interested in seeing that. I'm always kind of interested in, how firearms are used and viewed and regulated, and just kind of what the status of firearms are in other countries around the world. I'm glad they're in the Czech Republic. You can own firearms. I know there are some countries that are severely restricted. Other countries are a little bit more lenient with regard to their laws. I don't know that there's any place in the world beyond the United States that is quite as permissive as we are with firearms, fortunately. But yeah, I would be very interested in watching that. Josh Twyman, ever been around Smith & Wesson Model 915? My dad has one. It's kind of a version of the 59. Well, I have a 5904, and I have a friend who's got a 915, which is almost exactly the same pistol. There were a few cost-cutting measures to it, but it doesn't really affect the functioning. They are great, great pistols. So if you come across a 915 for a decent price, you will not go wrong if you decide to pick that up. KD Cowboy looking at Springfield Armory M1A. Should I go classic or tactical? Depends on what you're going to use it for. If you want to have it for a range rifle, and go out and particularly shoot any kind of distance, then I would say go ahead and opt for the traditional style full size rifle. If you want to use it for whatever home defense or anything that's going to be a closer range type of a situation, then go with the more compact version or tactical version, as it were. Travis Chapin, I have a Model 94 44 Magnum as well. Love it. Yeah, it's hard to go wrong with the 44 Magnum cartridge for anything inside of about, I don't know, I'm going to say 150 yards. Generally, when I've shot deer, particularly with handguns, chamber for that, it's been in the, I don't know, 25, 35 yard range, something like that. And like I said, with good bullet placement, there's not much tracking. One of the best shots I ever made was on a running deer, and I paced it off later on. It was a even 50 yards. And I had my 44 Magnum. This was my first 44 Magnum revolver, was a Ruger Blackhawk in 7.5 inch barrel. And I just came across, just led perfectly, squeezed off the shot, and the deer hit the ground, did a somersault, and never moved again. So, like I said, one of the best shots I ever made with a handgun. And I need to look where I am. Doug Quine, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Any advice on painting a rifle? I'm on the fence about painting an AR-10. I only have a couple of more weeks before hunting season. I would say if you're on the fence, wait. My very first video was talking about Duracoating firearms, and this goes back 10 years ago. And one of the things I recommended in that video is don't do your first project on something that's important to you, like a firearm. Do your first project on something you don't really care that much about, to kind of learn the process and learn what works and learn what doesn't. That way, if you mess it up, it doesn't really matter. I did my very first Duracoat project on my sniper rifle that I was using as a sniper at the time, and it was a disaster. And I had to go back and try to strip the paint off of it and redo it. And it in the end, it came out pretty good. But oh man, what a nightmare it was trying to undo that and fix it and everything else. So my recommendation is do your first painting or Duracoating or Cerakoting or whatever on something you just don't care that much about. John Ladd, inflation does not help, but Trump put a major tariff on China dumping steel in the USA, so supply and demand for components and ammunition has gone up. Well, the price that we're seeing for ammunition would reflect that. Sammy Boy, just have a 9mm. What revolver would you recommend? I know some of them don't require a moon clip. Have you shot one? I've never shot one that doesn't require a moon clip. Smith & Wesson had a very innovative revolver back in the early 1980s, and the model number escapes me right now, 547 maybe. But it did not require moon clips, and it worked with a 9mm. It was essentially a Model 10 Smith & Wesson that was built to work with 9mm cartridges. And of course, I saw one of those once. I had a chance to buy it at a reasonable price. Like an idiot, I passed on it. I really wish I would have picked that one up. But that was one that was very interesting. Apparently, Smith & Wesson offered it to the FBI, and the FBI passed on it, so they sold it on the civilian market for a while, and then it just faded away. Luke B picked up a new tool yesterday for himself, Generation 3 Glock 34. Good for you. I'm glad you got that, Luke. Yep, my favorite. Luke B, more of a CZ, but I do like Glocks mainly for the ubiquity parts. All right, cool. Craig Benz tried some USA forged steel case, 9mm and a 39-2. About a third of them didn't extract. I'm not surprised to hear that. During the era the 39-2 was made, everything was a brass case. So the fact that you had extraction problems just doesn't shock me. Danny P, know you're a Smith & Wesson revolver guy, but what are your thoughts on Ruger's revolvers? Been looking at a GP100, 357 mag, 2.5-inch local gun store. Very tempted to get it. Would be first revolver. Ruger revolvers are, very strong. They're very durable. It's going to work in all likelihood. I don't think you're going to have a lot of problems with it. For me, they're a little bigger, a little heavier, a little bulkier than the Smith & Wesson counterparts. But if it's something you're interested in, it's probably going to be a very good revolver for you. It's going to last for a long, long time. And I doubt that you're going to regret buying it. Let's see. Bo Black, anyone here like the CZ Rammy? CZ discontinued that, which seems strange to me because I think it had kind of a loyal following, but the Rammy is now relegated to the used gun case. Sammy Boy, I have a lot of 9mm guns and ammo. I know they make revolvers with no moon clip needed. Is it worth getting? The nice thing, if you have a revolver that is chambered for the same cartridge as your semi-auto, if you have ammunition, like we just talked about with the USA forged Winchester ammunition, if you have something that won't run in your semi-autos, you can run it through your revolvers and at least get some use out of it. So that's a nice thing. I've got a Smith & Wesson 625 chambered for 45 ACP. And the same thing, if I have something that won't run through my 1911s or any of my other 45 ACP chambered handguns, I can run it through the revolver and it'll go just fine. Steve Detweiler, almost 7 p.m. bedtime approaching. Have a blessed week. Thanks, Steve. Thanks for joining. Glad you made it. Sleep well and hope to see you again soon. Jeff Timms, Charter Arms has 9mm and 40 Smith & Wesson 45 ACP revolvers that do not need a moon clip. Lube very careful. Okay, so there's some information about that. Thank you, Jeff. KBM 6893 says there's a rumor on the Smith & Wesson forum that third generation guns something are coming back. Don't believe it, but there has been a resurgence in metal hammer fire guns. What do you think? I think I'll believe it when I see it. There's been chatter about that for so many years, and people have, wanted the third generation guns, or maybe I should say the tradition Smith & Wesson semi-autos brought back. I don't know. Let's wait and see what happens. Travis Chapin, anything made by Ruger that is a revolver or a rifle as strong as Volts at Fort Knox. Yeah, and they are good, strong firearms. Minivan Man 007, do you think we will see the Clinton type assault weapons ban will possibly die November 6th? I can't make any predictions as to what the government will do. I have no idea whatsoever. All we can do is wait and watch and vote and see what happens. Rich Powers, any plans for attending the local gun show coming up in a couple of weeks? Which one? I've been wanting to go to a gun show. I've been in a gun show mood lately, and it seems like every time one comes around, I can't make it there. So I don't know. Should be one coming up in Medina in a week or so. I think Mansfield's got one coming up in the not too distant future. I believe there's one in Canton this weekend, but I didn't make it to that. So if I am going, I'll try to let everybody know. So, you know, if you happen to run into me, definitely stop and say hi. But I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Bo Black still carrying it? Still carrying what? I missed something there. John Ladd, 625 requires moon clip. Yes, it does. Maskman 1980. Good evening, sir. Just picked up fairly clean Smith & Wesson 4046. Cool. From a local pawn shop. Immediately replaced the mag spring, follower, and recoil spring. Anything else should be mindful of? I would say go out and shoot it. See how it does. If it's running fine, then no. Just sort of base your decisions on how it's going. Rabbi, I sold a Remington 870 that I bought 20 years ago and only put 3 rounds through. Used the money to buy a CZ over and under. No regrets. Wonderful new hobby, skeet shooting. Cool. I'm glad you like that. Rich Powers, really? Does a gun show at the Worcester Fairgrounds? I didn't know that. When is it? Travis Chapin, my bucket list is the old Ruger Model 77, all-weather and 30-06 stainless rifle with black furniture, which would probably be a great rifle. And I got an email, but it doesn't look like it's anybody that's wanting to join exactly. Let me just double check over here. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Nope. You guys are all standing me up here. I feel like the girl at the dance that nobody asks out onto the floor. So if you want to join me, hit me up on the email. I'll send you a link to join in. Rabbi, last month went to the first gun show ever. Like fool, checked my gun at the door. They zip tied it. Oh, geez. All guns were overpriced, some by nearly 200%. Yeah. You know, I always tell people, if you know firearms and you know market prices, you can get some really good deals at a gun show. If you don't know those things, you can get some really not good deals at a gun show. You very much have to know what you're looking at, what it's worth, what you have if you're looking at trading something. It's definitely a horse trader's market when you go to a gun show. There's kind of a mixed metaphor. Massman 1980, glad I chimed in this evening. It's the first time that I've heard Smith & Wesson bring back third generation metal frame guns. Yeah, I don't know. I can't confirm that. Travis Chapin, don't have a camera or a microphone here or an email. Okay, too bad. Yeah, I mean, if it'll work with a phone, tablet, computer, just anything with a camera and a microphone. Vic from Fallout just sent an email with links to some photos. I didn't get that, oddly enough. At least I don't think I did. No, nothing yet. It's taken a while to get here from the Czech Republic. Ah, wait, that might be it right there. Okay, I got them. So I will take a look at those. Cool photos. Unfortunately, I can't bring them up on the screen to share with everybody else. Dan Byers is here. Thanks for joining, Dan. And Mark Becker is here. Hey, Mark, how are you doing? Massman 1980 did replace factory grips with brand new Xenoy grips from Midway. I'm a little surprised you were able to get those, so that's cool. Got all the parts from them. Good. That's very good. I know for the third gen guns, especially Numrich gun parts, you can find a lot of them from there. When I was working on that Model 39, if you saw the video a couple of months ago, that's where I got the replacement parts from that. Now, the bad thing was they sent me the wrong parts the first time around, so I had to get a hold of them, get the right parts and all that. But finally, in the end, I got that pistol up and running. Nalu Jim is here. Says, how are you doing, Howard? Doing well. Thanks for joining, Jim. Appreciate it. And let's see, what are we up to? Wow, we're up to an hour. Didn't realize we've been going that. It's funny because we get rolling here, and I'm looking at the comments and responding to them and all that. And the next thing I know, an hour has gone by, and I don't even realize. It doesn't seem like it. It seems like we've been going for about 20 minutes. Elaine's Domain is leaving us. Thanks for joining, ED. Appreciate you being here. Travis Chapin says, speaking of Ruger, my buddy has a Super Blackhawk 44 Magnum with a 10.5-inch barrel. Okay. Well, that's jack up the velocity a little bit. Rich Powers, November 5th and 6th. All right. If I can make it there, I will. I don't know, but we'll just kind of I'll have to play it by ear and see. Mark Nagel is here, says, happy Halloween early. Thanks, Mark. Luke B, I'm thinking about picking up a Brownell slide with an RMR cut for the Glock 34. It'd be my first pistol with an optic. And let me tell you from personal experience, there is a learning curve associated with having an optic on your pistol, more so than putting one on a long gun, like a rifle or shotgun. So don't think about that as something where you just bolt it on and instantly go out and you're shooting, just as well as you did or better than you did with iron sights. It takes a little while to acclimate to those things. Brad Edwards, any idea the best place to get a Marlin 1894 parts? Looking for a new carrier, but since Remington sold Marlin, they apparently aren't making them anymore. Tried Numrich, Midway, all the regular. My best suggestion would be to check with Ruger and see if they might have them. I don't know when they bought the rights to Marlin, if they got all the older replacement parts and all that, but it might be worth a phone call. Jeff Tim, folks, we have 66 watching and only 42 thumbs up. Jeff is prodding everybody. Thanks, Jeff. Vic from Paula, has anyone ever had problems with the Smith & Wesson pistols, model 59, 5906, and more? I think this is the best SA/DA pistol. They were really, particularly the third generations, were really, really reliable pistols. I always hear people talk about the early model 59s as being problematic. But, back in those days when we're talking about, early 1970s, what was the ammunition like? How many people were familiar with shooting semi-autos? How many of those malfunctions were shooter induced? I don't know. But by the time I came around and I was shooting the third generation pistols, they have always been very, very reliable for me. I had one issue with my 4006 that I purchased circa 1990. Where there was a tool mark in the chamber of the pistol, and it was causing the cartridges to hang up and fail to extract. And Smith & Wesson replaced that barrel under warranty, and I never had any more problems with it. That's probably the only issue I ever had with a third generation Smith & Wesson. Rabbi's upset because anybody's telling him what buttons to press. They're pushing your buttons, Rabbi. Mark Becker bought a Smith & Wesson 638 airweight 38 caliber. Really like it. And there's a lot there to like. The J frames, it almost doesn't even matter what J frame you get. They're just nice, drop dead reliable, handy, easy to carry revolvers. Jeff Tim, because I'm left eye dominant, right-handed, the best way to shoot a red dot is left-handed. I'm working on it. I would say, you know what, Jeff? I've run into people that are cross-eye dominant before, and I had one shooter that somebody had screwed up years before I ever met him, teaching him to shoot left-handed. I think the best thing for people who are cross-eye dominant is to learn to shoot with both eyes open, so you're focusing with your dominant eye, regardless of the fact that you're using your dominant hand to shoot. And I would strongly recommend you try that with particularly an optic and see how that works for you before you start shooting left-handed, and just kind of see how that goes. Dean Stir, it's weird that I like carrying older versions of the current production handguns, frequently switched to West German P228, Gen 2 Glock 17, and they're both cool looking and fun to shoot. Good. There's nothing wrong with a lot of those older handguns. A lot of it has to do with the fact that, the companies constantly have to update things and change their marketing and drum up enthusiasm in the market, so they keep making money. It doesn't necessarily mean there was anything really wrong with the handguns they were producing a few years ago. And I got something there a minute ago. I just want to see what this is. Oh, that was just a comment on a video. All right. So I get those email notifications too. Vic from Fallout, first generation Model 39 and Model 59 were bad guns. Since Model 39-2, they were very reliable. I know with the very early 39s, there were some extractor issues. I don't know. The Model 59s that I'm familiar with have been pretty reliable pistols. So I don't know. I can't really speak to that. Like I said, the third generation guns, by the time those came around, and the second generation guns that I own have been very good firearms. KD Cowboy just picked up Springfield Armory XDS Mod 2. That comes with an optic. The screen optic is so small and sometimes can't pick up the red dot. And that's the thing. And people talk about, all kinds of different ways that you have to present the handgun to make sure that you're bringing the optic online with the target and all that. There's just a learning curve there. I still don't shoot with an optic as well as I shoot with iron sights, because I've spent the better part of 50 years shooting handguns with iron sights. And now I'm trying to transition to an optic, and it really does take a while. Minivan 007, used guns seem to be a little overpriced like used cars. Only decent looking deals that I've seen are the Gerson, Regard, and a couple of G Series Taurus. I don't know where you are. And a lot of times you'll see different prices in different areas of the country based on supply and demand and all that. It seems like to me that the used guns are a little higher these days than we've seen in the past. But then again, new guns are not exactly cheap. So I'm not sure just exactly how that all comes out in the wash. Massband 1980, if anyone has a lead on a 3913 or 4506, it'd be greatly appreciated. So you can let him know if you have any information on that. Rabbi, except 1911s, everything is better than the 45 AARP train. 1911 guys wear house slippers in the battlefield. Oh, come on now. Be nice, Rabbi. Mark Becker, I have 4 P38s. That's cool. P38s are just cool pistols. So that's great that you have 4 of them. 9mm post-war, have a problem of collecting. It doesn't sound like you have a problem at all. Sounds like you collect very well. Vic from Fallout, only minor issues when using old weapons, for example, CZ75. Pre-B only works with 15-round magazines. The new ones with 16 rounds cannot be inserted. Okay, I don't think I knew that. So thanks for the info. Mark Nagel, how about a old versus new Browning automatic shotgun against an M4? If I could get a hold of those, that would be fun. I don't have either one of those currently, but if I could borrow them or get them loaned to me, that would be a fun video to do. Bill Fisher, happy Halloween, Chief. 5904 and 5906. Not sure what OTH is. Stone Reliable. No doubt my grandkids will be shooting them for you. Yeah, especially the 5906. I mean, those things were just built, I hate to say like a tank because it's such a cliche, but they're just really, really strong, overbuilt handguns for a 9mm. My 5904, I really, really like, and I think probably as long as you keep the recoil springs swapped out in that thing, you won't have to worry about any kind of frame cracking or anything else. Just two really great handguns. Mark Becker, my handgun collection is so big over the years. I find new guns every so often. My gun, they just spring up. They multiply. All right, gang. We're about an hour and 11 minutes into this thing. Go for another 5 minutes or so. Go to a quarter after or so, and then probably wrap it up. So if you have any last minute questions, comments, anything else, if you want to join the show, send me an email and I'll get you a link. But like I said, otherwise we'll wrap things up here in about 5 minutes or so. This has been a great live stream, a lot of fun. Thanks to everybody who's joined. Looks like you guys are talking to each other over here, which is cool. I guess at least I don't have Mimi here tonight. If Mimi's here, I may as well just go sit in the corner because everybody talks to her and whatever. I'm like the guy sitting there going, "Hey guys, I'm still doing a live stream, just so you know." Jeff Tim, here in Florida, the average household has 3.3 firearms. That's great. More firearms than average children in those homes in Florida. I'm striving to raise the average. Vic from Fallout, shot a Browning A5, very pleasant. Own a Winchester 59 from the 1960s. Barrel's a combination of steel and fiber optic, very pleasant shooting. Good. Looks like Robert Bastidas is leaving us. Thank you very much, Robert, for being here. Nalu Jim says, impossible to find older Smith revolvers where I live, so I purchased a classic Model 27 for it. That's great, and I hope that works for you. The newer Smith revolvers, a lot of people don't like just because they're the newer Smith revolvers. But I think as far as shooting goes, if you just take the thing out and shoot it, generally speaking, it's going to be a pretty good handgun. And of course, if it has problems, Smith & Wesson has a lifetime service contract on those, so you can ship it back and they can repair it. But generally speaking, like I said, I'm basing this a lot on my experience with the Model 19 Carry Comp, which after its initial trip back to Smith & Wesson has been a great revolver. And like I said, it's getting better and better, and I like it more and more every time I shoot it. And Nalu Jim went and replaced the springs. No issues at the range. Good. Ran across a master gunsmith, Danny Reichert. It looks like he was pretty adamant about not replacing OEM springs. What's your thoughts on this? I know where he's coming from. The reason the OEM springs are rated the way they are is to give the most reliable functioning possible. So regardless of the primers being used or the amount of powder in various cartridges or bullet weights or whatever, they're intended to work with the greatest range of ammunition, whatever parameters, in the most reliable way possible. If you start swapping out springs, but you're being very careful about the ammunition you're choosing and making sure you're keeping that in line with the types of springs you're using and all that, you can get good functioning. But for the best all around functioning, I agree with the gunsmith you talked to, was sticking with the OEM spring rates. Skip Boyer finally made it. Glad you made it, Reverend Skip. Unfortunately, you made it just about for the end of the show. We're about to wrap things up here, but I am glad you made it. Jeff Tim is still encouraging people to hit that thumbs up button. So thank you, Jeff. Mike Hagan, happy Halloween to you and your family. Best wishes from Montana. Thank you very much, Mike. I appreciate that. Happy Halloween to you. Robert Adams, I like the SIG 320 or M17. Great handguns. I've got an M18 that I like really well, so I understand where you're coming from. And I just saw something about, Mark Becker, I have a Smith & Wesson Retro 44 Special, case hardened, never shot it too pretty. I remember those when they were making those case hardened revolvers, and I saw one. I saw a, oh shoot, it was the 45 ACP version with the 6-inch or 6.5-inch version barrel and the case hardened frame. So it was the model 25 essentially in 45 ACP at a gun show, I don't know, a year or two ago, and I should have bought that thing. That's one of those that sticks in the back of my mind that I wish I would have bought. Great looking revolver. It was just cool. It had the half moon front sight, but I didn't. I passed on it, and I've been kicking myself ever since. Rabbi, stop pulling out my... Not sure who he's talking to. Vic from Fallout, 2:30 in the morning, and I've had a week, and I've had after a work weekend. It's great talking with y'all. Happy Halloween. Good. Thanks, Vic. Thanks for joining. Thanks for staying up so late with us. I really appreciate you being here. Get a good night's sleep, and we'll see you the next time around. All right, gang. I actually went longer than I said I was going to. It's 17 minutes after. So I think I'm going to start the wrap up here. Unfortunately, nobody joined me tonight. I was really hoping I would get somebody to join me on the show. But thank you very much. Thank you for being the best viewers on YouTube. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I tell people that routinely. You guys are just tremendous. Watching the videos, commenting on the videos, interacting, all of this. I think there are a lot of YouTube content creators that wish they had viewers like you guys. In fact, I'm sure they do. And I am just fortunate enough that you come here, you watch these videos, you participate in the live chats, participate in the premiere events that we have and all that. So thank you to all of you. A special thank you to my channel members for all that you do in supporting the channel. I could not do what I do without you guys. And I keep saying this, I would just be some guy that was talking to myself in front of a camera if it was not for all of you. So thank you for everything. Thanks for joining in the live stream. If I don't get back in front of you again with another live stream between now and then, have a happy Halloween. And until the next time we see each other, folks, good shooting. Have a great evening and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye-bye for now.